I built this tool because I was tired of the fear mongering. There is so much misinformation in the market right now, and most of it is being driven by big tech with a stake in the narrative. The story being told is AI is replacing your job. Be afraid. Reskill or die. That story is making everyone anxious, and it's not actually true, at least not in the way it's being sold. Here's what's actually happening. Yes, AI is behind a lot of the layoffs we're seeing, but not because AI is doing those people's jobs. It isn't. Anthropic's own labor market research, published in March, found that the actual AI adoption in workplaces is a fraction of what AI tools are theoretically capable of doing. Sam Altman at OpenAI said publicly last week that he was wrong about how fast AI would eliminate white collar jobs and that the impact hasn't materialized the way he predicted, though that may be because they're coming up on IPOs. So if AI isn't doing the jobs yet, why are people getting laid off? The answer is in the financials. Meta, Amazon, Microsoft, Google, and Oracle have committed somewhere around $700 billion to AI infrastructure spending in 2026. Meta alone is spending up to $145 billion on AI capex this year. Their entire payroll, every employee, every salary, every stock grant totals $27 billion. The AI capex line is 4 to 5 times the size of the entire payroll. Layoffs aren't cost cutting story. Layoffs are the financing. Meta's own CFO described the cuts as helping to offset substantial AI investments. Companies are laying people off to fund their bet on an AI future, not because AI is currently doing the work. That bet may pay off, it may not. Regulation may step in and put guardrails on it. In the meantime, real people are losing real jobs. Entry level roles and certain categories are genuinely at risk. The anxiety is warranted. That's why I built this tool. I don't want to feed panic. I want to give people something they can actually act on. I'm big on personal agency, so this is the action layer. The Heartful IQ skill risk assessment tool takes a job description, a role you're considering, or a profession you're studying for, and runs it through three reference frameworks. The first is ONET. That's the US Department of Labor's federal occupational database, with detailed task breakdowns for over 900 occupations covering nearly all US employment. It's the same dataset used by the Bureau of Labor Statistics. The second is the Anthropic Economic Index, which measures how people are actually using AI in real work, what's being automated and what's being augmented. The third is OpenAI's AI Job Transition Framework, published in April 2026, which analyzes roles across three dimensions: how technically exposed the work is to AI, whether a human is still necessary, and whether AI making the work cheaper will expand or compress demand. The tool breaks the role down into its component skills and tasks, then assesses which of those skills are at risk, which are in transition, and which are likely to remain human. Two independent frontier AI models do the analysis. They get reconciled, and you get a velocity score, a band, and a set of recommendations. There are 5 ways you can use it. One, paste in your current job description. Two, paste in a job description for a role you're considering. Three, describe the work you do in your own words if you don't have a job description handy. So just think about, what you do over the course of your week, all the types of tasks and things you do, and put those in. Four, compare 2 or 3 professions side by side. This one is built for students choosing a major or assessing career paths. And then five, if there's a profession you've already decided upon, master that. That's designed for people committed to a field who want to know how to get ahead in that field, leveraging AI. Let me walk you through what this actually looks like. The role I'm running through the tool is a senior integrated campaign manager at a B2B company. It's the kind of role a lot of marketers are in right now: cross functional orchestration, campaign strategy, performance analysis, working with sales and product, owning the brand story across multiple channels. You can see I'm pasting the job description in, and the tool is asking a few clarifying questions. It wants to know, like, how many years in role, and is this in a certain industry? And so I put B2B SaaS. I want to add, just those few details to help guide the outputs. It helps shape the recommendations on the back end because the right answer for a person who is mid career and prioritizing stability is different for someone earlier in their career who's kind of optimizing for upside. And then when you submit, what's happening right now is the tool is sending this role to 2 different AI models in parallel. Claude on the Anthropic side and GPT on the OpenAI side, both are applying the ONET task taxonomy, the Anthropic economic index findings, and the OpenAI jobs transition framework to the specific role that I pasted in. And then there's a reconciliation pass that merges the two outputs and uses the more conservative read when they disagree. Um, and then once the results load, here's what we get back. This role lands at a velocity score of 70 out of 100, which puts it firmly in the transforming band. High AI exposure, but human necessity around orchestration, management, and integration lag behind. The transition archetype the tool assigns is will reorganize. That's the OpenAI framework's way of saying workers are still needed in this field, but the role mix is going to shift. The number of heads required for manual orchestration will likely compress, and the work that remains will tilt toward more strategic governance heavy human work underneath the AI integration. The tool's own summary says it well. This role sits in the classic reorganization zone. Technical exposure is high because much of the work is language based, repeatable, and data adjacent, which is exactly where current AI usage patterns concentrate. But the role isn't pure output production. It carries relational necessity with sales, product marketing, and field teams, plus accountability for budget, and performance. Demand elasticity is mixed. AI will make campaigns cheaper to produce, which should increase the number of tests and assets, but the headcount required for manual orchestration is likely to compress. So the net effect is less near term disappearance than a shift toward fewer people doing more strategic, governance heavy work underneath the AI. Below the headline, every task in the role gets broken down. So all of the tasks that it pulled out from the job description, the tool categorizes each one as either keep human, augment with AI, or heavily augment, and tags each task with its own code so you can see exactly how it maps to the federal taxonomy. So for this campaign manager role, the breakdown looks like this. The keep human tasks include managing cross functional stakeholder relationships and negotiating with external vendors and agencies. The tool's reasoning is because relationship building, conflict resolution, and team alignment require human presence, empathy, and political problem solving. Negotiation requires trust and real time adaptation to human psychology and business dynamics. So those tasks would stay yours or stay human. The heavily augment tasks include testing new messaging angles and creative concepts and building executive ready performance reports and presentations. AI can generate creative variations and analyze performance, but breakthrough creative concepts and brand risk assessment require human intuition. AI can compile data and generate initial reports, but the executive storytelling and strategic recommendations require human business acumen. And then the augment with AI tasks include designing campaign measurement frameworks and KPIs, conducting campaign postmortems. AI can suggest metrics and identify performance patterns, but defining what success means for the business and then extracting the actionable organizational insights requires a better human understanding of what the strategic priorities are for the business and which specific KPIs will be most important to your particular business. So you'll notice that some of the more senior global campaign architecture tasks map to what the tool calls a broad analog, meaning they straddle multiple ONET codes like marketing managers and market research analysts. That's the tool being honest about the fact that some senior work doesn't fit cleanly into a single federal occupational code, and showing you exactly where those mappings are approximate rather than pretending that it has more certainty than it does. This is where most career advice stops. AI is changing your work. Here's the score, kind of good luck. But the next section, I think, is more useful, or I built it to hopefully be more useful for you. I'm going to go through one more scenario before we get to the recommendations and what those look like in detail. You've seen a preview here, but I want to go through some of the specifics with you towards the end of the video. Now, let's walk through a model scenario. This one is built for parents or students trying to make a college or career decision. Instead of a single job description, you put in 2 or 3 professions side by side and the tool compares them. So in this case, we're going to look at a student who's considering or weighing physical therapy, occupational therapy, and lymphedema therapy. They want to help people. They're considering a doctorate program. They want a stable career. Maybe they even have a a family member who's experienced lymphedema and they've seen how helpful it has been. And so they're weighing that as well. And that kind of factors into their decision. So the tool runs each profession through the same analysis and shows them next to each other. All three of these come back in the durable band, scores in the low 20s because they involve hands on physical work, licensure, and relational care, all of which the data says are AI resistant for the foreseeable future. The student now has a defensible data backed answer to one of the biggest questions they're facing. And because the tool shows the methodology and the sources, when they share it with their parents, the parents can see this isn't some random TikTok career test. It's grounded in federal occupational data and the actual published research from the two leading AI labs. For students, the tool also generates a letter from me, Amanda from HArtfull IQ. The student can copy it, print it, or send it from their own email. It frames the decision and gives the parents kind of the same context that we just walked through. So the family is making the choice with the same information. Before we scroll down to the recommendations, let's make sure the score makes sense. So, what does the velocity score actually mean? The velocity score runs from 0 to 100. Lower is actually better. A low score means the work is durable. AI is unlikely to replace it in the near term. A high score means the work is changing faster. A low score doesn't mean the profession is less valuable, it just means AI isn't reshaping it as quickly. A high score doesn't mean the profession is dying, it just means the people who enter it will need to become AI fluent to thrive. There are four bands. 0 to 25 is durable, 26 to 50 is augmenting, which means AI will reshape parts of the work. 51 to 75 is transforming. AI is actively changing the work right now, so repositioning matters. 76 to 100 is displacing, which means AI is on track to absorb major portions of this work. So, this campaign manager role at 70 is firmly in the transforming territory. Not catastrophic, but a clear signal that the way this role is practiced today is changing, and the people in it now need to reposition before the organization or reorganization happens around them. And then we start to get into the recommendations and what they're geared towards. This is what I built the tool for. The recommendations layer is doing two things at once. The first is lean into what stays human. The tool calls this section your human edge. And for this campaign manager role, it identifies three specific edges. Edge one is strategic stakeholder orchestration under competing priorities. The tool's reasoning is that the work of reading senior executives, navigating competing interests, and surfacing unstated concerns sits at an intersection of business judgment and political acumen, which AI cannot replace. The how to build it steps are practical start. Start leading weekly cross functional alignment meetings, shadow senior executives and stakeholder meetings, build a personal framework for difficult trade off discussions or decisions. Edge two is creative strategy synthesis from disparate business inputs. The reasoning here is that connecting competitive positioning, budget constraints, and audience psychology into breakthrough creative strategies that serve multiple objectives is a synthesis task AI helps with but doesn't lead on. The build steps include documenting the business logic behind every creative decision, attending brand strategy workshops, and practicing presenting creative recommendations that explicitly address business constraints, not just audience appeal. Edge three is performance interpretation that drives organizational learning. The reasoning is that translating campaigns results into systemic learnings that shape future strategy requires understanding how performance ties back to broader organizational outcomes. The way you build it includes facilitating quarterly failure parties where teams extract systemic learnings from campaign misses and build relationships with sales and customer success teams to understand how marketing performance translates downstream to business outcomes. Notice what those three edges have in common. None of them are learn a new software tool. They're all about deepening the human work that AI cannot reach, stakeholder judgment under ambiguity, strategic synthesis across competing inputs, organizational learning that connects to work outcomes. That's the first half of the recommendations. The second half of the recommendations is built around gaining command of what's moving to AI. And this is, I think, where most career advice will miss right now. The right move is not to avoid the AI exposed tasks. We're not just going to say, okay, those things are going to move to AI and I can't control that. It's to become the person who orchestrates AI. If reporting is being heavily augmented, become the person who can prompt, validate, and direct the AI doing the reporting better than anyone else on your team. If creative testing is being augmented, become fluent in the tools doing the augmenting and own the strategy that selects which variations get tested. If things are being moved over to agents, become the agent orchestrator. You move from being the person who does the tasks to being the person who manages the AI doing the task. That's the AI orchestrator role. That's where the leverage is. And that's where the next decade of careers is going to be built. This is the action layer I was talking about at the top. It's not AI is coming for your job panic. It's here is exactly which part of your work are exposed. Here's what stays yours, what stays human. Here's how to deepen the parts that stay yours. And here's how to position yourself so that you're directing the change instead of being directed by it. So that's the tool. It's free. You can run as many assessments as you want. What you do next depends on where you are. If you want to take the results and run with them on your own, great. There are free, high signal places to build AI literacy that I'll point you to in the follow up. The number one in demand skill on LinkedIn's 2026 Skills on the Rise list is AI engineering and implementation. AI business strategy is number three. Across every industry, LinkedIn tracks, AI fluency is now treated as a baseline hiring requirement, not a specialized one. The data is unambiguous. This is the highest leverage skill you can build in the next 90 days, and it doesn't require a degree or a boot camp to start. If you want a guided session with me to translate your specific results into a real 90-day plan, I offer 3 different working sessions: a repositioning session for working professionals who got a score they need to act on, a profession mastery session for people committed to a path who want to enter it as one of the AI fluent few, and a college and career clarity session for students and parents. They are 60 to 90 minutes in length and $497. The links will be available on your results pages, and the follow up email sent after your assessment has the resources and next steps laid out. I built this because I think the AI conversation deserves better than hype and fear. You deserve actual information, sourced honestly, and a path that you can actually act on. That's the whole point. Run an assessment, see what comes back, then decide what you want to do with it. Even if you never work with me directly, the recommendations are built to be acted on. That's the whole point of this, because the future of work doesn't get decided by the labs building the AI or the companies betting on it. I built Heartful IQ on a different premise. AI should be built for the benefit of humanity, and the future we're heading toward is not inevitable. It's something we have a say in. It gets decided by the people doing the work, choosing what stays human, choosing what they orchestrate. You're one of those people, so start there.